So my name is Antonio Roman Alcala, and I'm one of the co-coordinators of the San Francisco Urban Agriculture Alliance in San Francisco, California. So the formation of the San Francisco Urban Agriculture Alliance started when I had already been involved in different urban agriculture pursuits for about 5 or 6 years, and I saw that there was so much emerging interest in urban agriculture as a hobby or as an interest, or a nonprofit type approach to growing food is going to by necessity require either volunteer energy or funds from outside, and people might be end up competing for those volunteers or competing for that funding. And so I wanted to make sure that we had a venue for us to kind of hash out what was going on as a community rather than as kind of individual conflicting agents, right? A lot of our work has ended up being about policy, and we've managed to change 2 different city policies that relate to urban agriculture. One is just the zoning law that didn't have any legal designation for urban agriculture, so now it's officially legal to grow food on your own property in San Francisco. It's also included in that legislation is a legalization of the sales of produce from your home, so you can now grow food in your backyard and gain a probably small, meager income from selling that produce if you want to. I felt like it was really important to bring people together to kind of create the idea of grassroots political power, the idea that we as communities can do things, that we don't need to rely on the government, we don't need to rely on changes in the corporate structure. We can actually make changes ourselves in how we live and what we want to see in our physical space. So I felt like SFUAA was that, and then one step beyond that would be some form of networking local groups like the SFUAA into some sort of larger body that could then do things at a scale that we can't do locally. Officially, we now have a thing called the California Food Policy Council, and the California Food Policy Council brings together groups like the SFUAA, other local food policy councils, these different food system alliances, which bring together people who have, are producers of food and distributors of food and consumers of food and people representing low-income populations that use food stamps, etc. So everyone involved in this complicated food system is now starting to come together and actually discuss, okay, what is broken about it? What needs to change? What can we agree on as the mechanisms or the levers for change? And then we're, allying with people in the government to actually get those changes done. The only real change that happens is from grassroots communities that have their shit together, know what they're doing, and know what needs to change, them actually applying the pressure to very specific parts of the government, that when there's someone in that position who's actually perceptive or open to these ideas, you can get things changing really, really quickly. The last part of that is that the reason why you can't rely on an individual in a position of power to make change for the grassroots is because once that change gets made, it's not done. It has to constantly be fought for, constantly sustained, and the only people that are really going to be able to sustain the true values behind whatever that change was are the grassroots communities who needed that change to begin with. So that's why you need to have the grassroots organized base to always be there to hold the power structure accountable. But I think it's really important to acknowledge that there are individuals in various aspects of this hierarchical structure that enable changes in a way that wouldn't happen if that power structure didn't exist.